Hi guys, how are you doing? So I know I haven't made a video in a while, and this video isn't going to be a theatre related video. It's actually going to be about books, because that's something else I really enjoy doing, reading books. I just don't really talk about them much. But this year I decided to do the 50 book challenge again. I've tried to do it in the past couple of years and it's never worked out. Last year I read about 35 books, which is almost close to 50 but not quite there yet. And I wanted to give it a try again this year. And I thought if I made videos about it every month, it would be kind of like a motivation thing for me to actually read them and read more. And so that's why I decided to, do monthly videos in which I just talk about the books that I've read that month, very briefly. They're not going to be book reviews. It's just going to be me saying a few things about the books that I read in that month. So, let's start with January 2013. The first book I read in January was Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I've never really been much of a Jane Austen fan, and that's because I haven't really read much of her stuff. The only book I've read by Jane Austen apart from this is Pride and Prejudice, and I read that years ago, and I don't remember liking it much, but I think that might be because I was too young when I read it or something. It might have been because I read it for school, and that always affects your enjoyment level. But I decided to give it a go, and I really, really enjoyed this. The characters are so interesting, and especially the main girl, Catherine, is just so likeable, and you just want the best for her throughout the book. And the way it's written as well was absolutely beautiful. I absolutely enjoyed this book. It was just a very lovely read, and it's made me want to read more of Jane Austen's work. I might actually give Pride and Prejudice a go again, because a lot of my friends who are book readers have told me that Pride and Prejudice is their favourite novel by Jane Austen, and I just feel a bit bad that I, never gave it a good chance, I guess, when I was younger. So I want to give it a go again. So I will be reading Pride and Prejudice again sometime this year. And I'm hoping to read more of Jane Austen's work as well, because this was just brilliant. I really, really enjoyed this, and it was a good first book of 2013 to read. The second book I read this year was The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I know I'm very late with this. Most people have read this like a year ago, but I have a thing with hardcover books. I don't like hardcover books for some reason. I just don't like them, and I've been waiting for a long time for the paperback version to come out, and finally it came out like a month ago, and I bought it straight away, and I read it straight away as well, and it was definitely worth the wait. It's an incredible book. It's very well written. I mean, I've read some of John Green's book before, like I've read Paper Town and Looking for Alaska, and I enjoyed both of them, but I think this might be my favourite John Green novel so far, actually. The thing is, though, this book has been hyped up so much by everyone, especially in the booktube community, that I was expecting a lot more from it, I think, in a way, and I wasn't disappointed. It was definitely, good, and I definitely did enjoy it, and I can understand why people have been saying such amazing things about it. But I think it might just be that I'm a little bit too old for John Green novels, and that's not to say John Green novels can't be enjoyed by older people. It's just that, the main target audience for these novels, I think, obviously it's YA, so it's young adults, and in a way I guess I still am a young adult, but I think this can be enjoyed more by teenagers, and I think I would have enjoyed it more if I was slightly younger than I am now, maybe just a few years younger. I just feel like there wasn't enough in it, and I don't know, it's still one of the best YA books that I've read, but I don't know, I think my expectations were just too high, and I want more from books. This was amazing though, and I love John Green, and I can't wait to read more of his work. The story is obviously, as most people know, about two teenagers, a guy and a boy, and it's quite a sad story. It's a very sad story. It's, based in a hospital, and it touches on issues like cancer and, medical stuff and health, and that's why I like John Green, because he keeps his books very, very real. The characters in this book were very, very relatable. Both the main character, Hazel, and Augustus, was so charming, so enjoyable to read about. I just love the dialogue, especially between them. John Green has an amazing way of writing that makes you feel like the characters are actually real, and that they're your friends, and I definitely thought that when I was reading the book, and I fully expected to just go out one day and bump into Hazel or Augustus, because that's how real his characters are, and that's why John Green is such a great author, in my opinion. So yeah, if you haven't read this book, which I doubt anyone hasn't, because most people read this book last year, but if you haven't, definitely give it a go, because it's a really, really good book, especially if you're younger, like in your teens, you're definitely gonna, like this book. It's brilliant, and John Green is amazing. The next book I read, which is actually my favourite book of this month, is Life of Pi by Yann Martel. Now, I first got this book about 4 or 5 years ago, and I started reading it when I was about 18, and I think I read about 50 pages, and I just gave up for some reason. I don't know why. I think it might be because I went out with the book one day and it was raining, and the book got rained on, and, you know, for some reason I just don't enjoy reading books that have been ruined by rain, I guess. Even though it wasn't really ruined. I mean, I remember it still was very much readable, but I think I just kind of thought, oh, this isn't a book anymore, I don't want to read it anymore. But I'm really glad I went back to it, and the main reason I went back to it was because obviously the film came out a few months ago, and I was interested in seeing the film, although I still haven't, and I thought before I see the film I'd obviously want to read the book first. And oh my god, I'm so glad I did, because this book is just so brilliant. It's about so much more than just a tiger on a boat. There's 3 sections in the book. The first section focuses on Pi's life when he was younger, when he was a kid and as he was growing up. And that takes up about 70 or 80 pages of the book. And it's been said that it's quite controversial by some people because, you know, and also some people have said that it's a bit boring and pointless because obviously it's just going on and on about Pi's life before the accident happened. But I actually think it's very, very good because it's, you know, it teaches you a lot about Pi's character. And it's just very, very interesting. The things that Pi kind of tells us about, because Pi is obviously the person talking in the book. He tells us about his beliefs and his thoughts and his 2 main loves, which are animals and religion. He's a very religious person. He believes in 3 different religions. He's a Christian, a Hindu and a Muslim, which I know are ridiculous, but it actually made me think a lot because, you know, why can't you believe in more than one religion? Who's to say you can't believe in different religions at the same time? I mean, who makes rules, you know? I thought it was a very, very interesting concept, and it really did make me think about religions in general and God and different religions, how similar they kind of are and how different they are, and I don't know, it just made me think a lot and I really enjoyed it. The thing is though, even though it does talk a lot about God and religion in the first section, I think anyone can enjoy the book, even if you're an atheist, because, you know, it's never condescending in any way. It's just telling you his beliefs. It's not saying, oh, I'm right. It's just, you know, talking about what he thought about life and stuff, and I just found it very, very exciting and interesting. Then the second part is obviously about the incident, which is when the ship sinks in the Pacific Ocean. And I think most people know about this because if you watch the film trailer and if you look at the book cover, you can kind of tell. I didn't know anything about this because I don't really usually like reading the synopsis of books. I'd rather go into books knowing absolutely nothing about a book. I don't know why, but I just find it more exciting when I know very little about a book. So when I got to the incident point and I realised that there was going to be like 200 or 300 pages of him just being by himself, you know, trying to survive, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be interesting or not, because, you know, no dialogue, no communication with anyone else, it's just going to be him on his own. How is the author going to make this interesting? But I was completely wrong because it really was completely interesting. I mean, every page in this book introduced a new challenge for Pi and you know, just introduce new things to us, to readers. His journey to survival is so interesting to read about, and there's loads of facts in there as well. The author's obviously done a lot of research, which I thought was great. And it's so very detailed that it's very hard to believe that the author wasn't actually there himself and that it wasn't the author himself that experienced this. It's just absolutely brilliant, especially because there's loads of facts about animals as well, tigers especially, and I found these facts so fascinating. Pi obviously has to learn to live with a tiger and other animals and stuff, and just to learn about animal behaviour and how they behave when with humans around them and how you can change the way they behave and stuff was very, very interesting to read about. So yeah, I absolutely loved it, and obviously the last section is about Pi's life after the incident and what he thinks of the incident and what he wants people to think of the incident and how he wants people to think of what had happened and his kind of way of telling the story, which again was very interesting. The last part is very short compared to the middle part, which is the biggest part, obviously, with the tiger. But yeah, overall, I thought it was absolutely amazing. Such a good book. It's one of those books that I'm going to recommend to anyone. I think if you start the book and you're like, this is a bit boring, I don't understand where it's going, just keep at it and read, because once you get to the middle part, it gets really, really exciting, because it's just, there's so much to learn. It's very, very thought-provoking, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, Life of Pi, my favourite book of January 2013, and I can't wait to see the film. I mean, if you've seen the film, feel free to leave comments and let me know what you thought of the film, especially compared to the book, but I'm definitely hoping to see the film at some point, in the next few weeks, hopefully. The last book I read this month was Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. The only reason I read this book was because, again, the film's coming out. I think it's actually out now, and I thought I kind of want to read the book again before the film comes out. I mean, I don't think I'm going to go and see the film in the cinema, but I probably will see the film at some point, and I always think it's better to read the book first. I don't know, that's just me. The book is about zombies, and I'm not really into zombies or vampires or things like that, so I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it or not, especially because this book is actually told from the perspective of a zombie, which is what makes it unique, I guess, in a way. And I actually like that idea. I thought it was a good concept. But I did find it quite slow, even though it's quite a small book. It took me longer to read this book than any of the other 3 that I read this month. And that's just because, for me, it just wasn't exciting enough, you know. I would read like maybe 40 pages a day or something, and there wasn't much in the book for me to want to go back to it all the time and read as much as I could. But it was still a good book, it was interesting, and I think the film's going to be good as well. It's got a good cast. Yeah, it was good, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, so, you know, I would recommend it to people, especially if you like zombie novels, then you definitely will enjoy this, I think. So yeah, that's it. These were my 4 books of January 2013. If you've read any books this month or last month, January 2013, leave comments, let me know what you've been reading. And I'm always looking for new books to read and stuff, so feel free to give me book suggestions and stuff. The book I'm currently reading is The Night Circus, which I'm really enjoying so far. Hopefully I'll make another video similar to this at the end of February. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. Sorry if this was a very different video to my normal videos, but I hope you still enjoyed it. And yeah, I will see you very, very soon. Bye!